Hello everybody, this is Woolrig and welcome to episode 16 of Agrarian Skies. I've been busy making recipes. I've kind of queued up the things that I think I want to build next. The main one in here is I think I've got all of the recipes I need for reactor parts, but the trouble is that in this mod pack, the only way I can make some of the reactor parts is with steel. So I have some steel, but I don't have nearly enough to make what I need, because if we take a look at this stuff, so the reactor casing is basically the starting place, and I essentially get one piece of casing for every piece of steel. But then everything I need to craft to go along with the reactor takes reactor casings. So there's reactor casings, there's reactor casings. Yeah, lots of reactor casings. So for that, I fired up the high oven over here, and it's making steel. And I'm just going to kind of tend to this thing as it does. I'm making blocks of steel here. So we're going to let that go and do its thing. In the meantime, I have an opportunity, I believe, to jump. Oh yeah, this is why I'm making the steel, because I want a turbine housing, which is part of the reactor, the Big-Reactors mod. That takes cyanite. The only way to get cyanite is to cook yellorium in a reactor. So I need to build a reactor. So that is not going to happen just yet. But if we jump back over to You're a Wizard, Steve, I have some more things to do. Making a magician's blood orb. So, yeah, we'll let that stuff cook. The magician's blood orb requires a tier 3 altar and a lot of LP and a simple gold block. I only have a tier 2 altar, and I have not yet made the tier 2 blood orb, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. I already had an emerald queued up. I think... No, I've been using the LP in here. Let's see how our mob spawner is doing for us. Got myself a couple mobs to kill. So not too bad, not too bad. That got me probably not what I needed just yet. Pretty close. So, guess I need some more LP. In the meantime, I do have... Let's just keep stacking things that I'm doing. So I have made quite a few of these blank slates, and I can build a tier 3 altar, I believe. I think I have all of the parts. So the blood altar is, of course, a multi-block structure, if you didn't catch on to that yet. And in order to make tier 3, I need more blood runes. I can make different types of blood runes, but again, this mod pack has drastically changed the recipes. I'm not anywhere close to making... I could. That's going to take a lot more work than I want to do right now. Yeah, change the recipes. These are not the normal recipes. So some of the runes we have to look at are the rune of self-sacrifice. So this would be anytime I use the sacrifice orb. This would allow it to have a multiplier. The rune of sacrifice is really what I'm using now. So I've got 3 of them on there, and anytime I use the sword of sacrifice and kill a mob, I get kind of bonus. I think it's 10% extra or something. The efficiency rune doesn't actually do anything. There's no recipe for it. Speed rune just allows things to craft faster in the altar. The blood rune is just really a basic blood rune, nothing else. There's no special abilities on it. The rune of augmented capacity allows the altar to store more but as we can see, it needs a Magician's Blood Orb and an Imbued Slate, which is the Tier 3 slate. This guy here, Reinforced Slate, this is a Tier 2 slate. Dislocation, this allows it to transfer LP in and out of the altar faster. Again, don't have one of those. And then finally the Rune of Orb allows me to store more LP in my soul network, I believe, if I'm remembering that correctly. And then there's a few ritual wands over here that we'll get to eventually. So for now, I'm just going to make these guys. And this should not be too difficult. I have a few of the pieces I need, minus my orb. What did I do with my orb? I put it somewhere. I put it here. Aha. And I know that I need 20 of these. So I need some more stone. Alright, well, I guess I need to cook up some stone. I thought I had enough. Apparently I don't. I've been using it. So I'm going to fire up these furnaces and cook up this stone real quick. Some there. Some there. And some there. Good. And while that's cooking, looks like some more mobs have dropped down. Ooh, nice. Alright, are we there yet? I believe so. So if we go back and look at the orb, the apprentice orb, sorry, wanted to kill that creeper before he got sight of me. 5,000 LP, perfect. I have that and then some. So, throw that in. Just a point of note, the creeper, if he had exploded, he wouldn't have done any damage. The block griefing from creepers has been turned off in this mod pack because, of course, with the Skyblock world, that would be terribly, terribly unfortunate. So, you know, Jaded did some nice things for us. This should be soon. We've just about used up all the LP that we need. We should get an orb shortly. Any minute now. There it goes. Perfect. And right-click it to bind it to myself. So now I have a Tier 2 orb. Not that I needed it, at least not right now. What this does allow me to do is, if I look at my soul network, you see I've got 5,200 LP in there. That's because I think I burned a little bit when I right-clicked on that. If we look here, the Tier 1 orb, which I don't have with me, it only allowed for a maximum of 5,000 LP in my soul network. This one goes up to, I don't know what it goes, 10,000 maybe? I think 10,000. Alright, let's hop over here and make sure this furnace is still going well. It is. The blocks of charcoal here, that is, I don't know if I mentioned that last time, but yeah, that's how you run this thing. It's way easier and way faster. It gets up to temperature much quicker and it burns much longer. So blocks of charcoal in the high oven, that is an important, the more you know type of thing. Try to get this done. Alright, so I got 12. Let's see how many more can I make. Can I get to 8? I can. I need 20. How do I know that? I just happen to know that. There is... this version of Blood Magic is a bit... Oh, I don't want that. It's a bit difficult because there's really no in-game way to know what anything does. It's kind of frustrating that way. But there are some online resources. One of them I like to use is the unofficial Feed the Beast wiki. They have a lot of information, especially on some of these older mods, because, of course, these are not in development anymore, and they've been kind of abandoned at this point. But Blood Magic in its current iteration does not really have any good in-game info, so the wiki is very handy to kind of give you a heads up, point you in the right direction, and show you how to build some of this stuff. The nice thing is that the altar configuration has not changed between versions, so this altar setup is exactly the same as all of the newer versions of Blood Magic. So still useful information. The way that we build this, so Tier 1 is essentially this guy right here. Tier 2 goes basically out 1 and down 1 from Tier 1, if you want to think of it this way. Tier 3 goes out 2, 1, 2, and down 1, so it's actually right in here. And it goes out 1 more from the side. So there's basically 5. There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 on each side. And with 4 sides, that gives us 20. And then 1 spot in the very corner, which we will do something very shortly. I'll show you what goes in the corner. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fortunately, I built, what did I build? 2, 3, just 2. Okay. I built 2 levels there, because I knew I was going to have to go down. Now, the next tier, fortunately, I've set this up so that I can pretty easily build a Tier 3 altar. Tier 4 is going to be a little bit harder because it has to go, again, out 2 and down 1, which is going to be, underneath where I am now. We'll worry about that when we get to it. So I've got this cleared out. I will put in the runes somewhere here. There they go. Put in the runes. And I wish I could make some sacrifice runes, but we'll get around to that. So we put the runes down like so, and then in the corner we go up 2 blocks. And these can be any blocks. They don't need to be anything in particular. They just need to be there. The last thing we do is place glowstone on top of these. And we should now have a Tier 3 altar. So I come here and right click on it. We see it says Tier 3. Perfect. This is the last of the easy altars. Tier 4 gets pretty difficult. And what you'll notice is the altar still only has a 10,000 LP capacity. If I go and look at that Magician's Orb, which is the Tier 3 orb, I need 25,000 LP. So I can do some stuff with the augmented capacity, but if you'll remember from looking at that a little while ago, that takes some imbued slate, which takes a Tier 3 altar, I have that, and 5,000 LP on top of reinforced slate. So reinforced slate takes a Tier 2 and 2,000 LP on top of a blank slate, which takes 1,000 LP, so, you know, it goes up. It's not exponential, but it goes up quickly, right? So 5,000, 7,000, 8,000 LP to make a single imbued slate. Not to mention this stuff, which, again, it's not terrible. Sulfur, coal, you know, I've got all that stuff. This one is a little bit trickier because it requires electrum blend and destabilized redstone in a fluid transposer. I haven't built any of that yet. So, yeah, not going to be something we'll get to today because I want to finish this reactor. So let me go make this loop one more time and see how I'm doing here. Actually, I think I'm going to pull out that coal because there should be enough left. Let me grab some more iron. I'm just going to let it use up the rest of the charcoal that was in there. Just in good measure. Come on, fast. There we go. Sprint everywhere. Oops. Okay. And make sure I top off all of these things. Top that, top that. All right. So we've got some steel. This should be probably enough to get us by. So let's go ahead and start making, once I empty some stuff out here, let's start making the reactor pieces. Go ahead and put away some things I don't need. I need the quest book. Don't need that or that or that. All right, so as I mentioned, I need to start with reactor casings, which I'll get to those. The other thing I need is, did I make a, let's see, I need a fuel rod. All right, we're going to start making the simplest reactor I can, which it's a multi-block structure, and so the simplest one is a 3x3. Because I need a fuel rod in the center, and the rest of it is just kind of everything else. I need a reactor controller, which I will go ahead and craft one of those. And we should see my machines over here. I rewired these, in case you didn't notice. I rewired them so that they output on the back, input on the top. And this interface is dumped into this chest. That way I've got a bit of a buffer for crafting things. And I need diamond. I figured there was something I was missing. Let's grab some diamond blocks. I should have, oh yeah, a few of those. Go ahead and break that down. Okay, that's going to run. Let's go back down here so we can watch it. Good. And that gets me one reactor controller. So that's the brains of the operation. I need a control rod. So go ahead and make one of those. The graphite bars is just cooking coal or charcoal. So pretty easy to make there. The reactor casing, of course, we looked at that. That's what takes the steel. So not a big deal. This is a slow process. What else do I need? I'm going to need a power tap. That's how you get power out of the reactor. An access port. I need to be able to put fuel in and take waste out. So actually, I want to make 2 of those. And then lastly is this guy, the RedNet port. This will allow me to control the mechanism of the reactor. So I've got all those queued up, and you can see they're all setting here. waiting to run. So I'm going to let this all finish up and come back when I have a bunch of reactor parts. Alright, I think I've got all of the pieces I need, plus a few extra things. So I'm going to build this reactor over here because this little setup, while being somewhat productive, is still kind of a nuisance. I want to power the farm with not coal because it's not the best use of my coal. So I will let that finish burning up its steam, and in the meantime I will get the reactor set up over here. So I'm going to... Actually, I had a thought on this. Let me grab something else. Hold on. Okay, so my thought was I actually want to build this reactor up slightly, and I believe I will center it on this spot right here so that I can kind of feed into the existing power structure I have. So it's going to come this way. I'm going to build a little 3x3 platform right about there and leave the center empty. Because what I'll have actually is I'll put the power tap on the bottom. I think I can do that. Pretty sure I can. And I'll have the power come off the bottom, feed right into there. Then, because actually I don't know, yep, that's not where we want to go. Alright, because I don't have anything below me yet, we'll build the reactor up here. So I'm going to start with these pieces, build around the edges. I will put the power tap, this guy, right in the middle. Is that the way I want to go? Or do I need to be... I need to turn it... I need to get rid of this rain, too. I don't like rain. It's just a nuisance. Alright, we're going to do one of these. Fortunately, I have a jetpack. I got plenty of power. Okay. Sorry about the space bar. Okay, so maybe that won't work. I thought I could turn it, but maybe not. Shoot. This might not work the way I want. Alright, scratch that. Apparently, I can't build it quite the way I had hoped. So, I will build it the way I have to. Alright, so I still want to use that. Let me get rid of this rain. Okay, so now I'm going to build it slightly different than what I had originally planned. So I'll start with the bottom 3x3. And then I will come and build the corners. So the corners, the bottom, and the edges all need to be reactor casing. For which I had a plan to use that, so of course I don't have enough. Let me get one more reactor casing. Fortunately, auto crafting. This should be pretty quick, hopefully. Maybe, unless it's got to make graphite. There we go. And of course it makes them 4 at a time, not just 1. 4 more reactor casings. Alright, that one there. In the center spot goes my fuel rod. That is where we will put fuel. On this side, then, I will put the power tap. Power tap comes out here, and I'll have to get some power cable to run that. I need a controller, so I'll put the controller on there. I need a way to put fuel in and take waste out. We'll just use a single access port for now. And on the back, I will put my RedNet controller port. The last thing is on the top. It is the control rod, which, great success. I put that in, and the block forms. So if we look at the controller, it's got a bunch of information in here. It does stuff, auto eject and different things. Over here, I can put fuel in. So if I just shift this in, I put the fuel in. I can eject the fuel. I can eject the waste. So the waste product, the cyanite, is going to show up over here as it uses the fuel. Why did that not? Inlet mode, outlet mode, yeah. Do I need to turn it on? Alright, so I put the fuel in there. If I come here and turn it on, that should have, unless it doesn't like blocks of fuel. There it goes. Ah, because this is a very small reactor, I can't put an entire block of fuel in. Alright, so that used, what was that, 4 ingots? And we see that the fuel status is full. And if we turn it on here, temperatures are going to rise and we're generating power. We're generating 264 RF per tick, 265. So, you know, not great, but not terrible either. We're fairly efficient. We're burning 0.028 millibuckets per tick, which is the fuel status. When you put it in, it gets turned into a type of liquid and then gets processed in liquid form, essentially. When the waste reaches 1,000 millibuckets, that will be, or no, is it 144 millibuckets is 1 ingot, so it'll create an ingot of cyanite. Meanwhile, this guy is generating power and filling up the internal buffer. Now, I have a feeling that this setup here does not need 263 RF per tick, so that is where the control rod comes in. And if I change the control rod setting, what you should see is the fuel heat should start to go down. Maybe. Yeah, okay, the fuel heat went down here. Didn't show it up top. But what you notice is that the rate of power production decreased correspondingly, as will the fuel usage. So we're almost cut in half now, actually. And we've dropped down to 161 RF per tick, which I gotta say is probably still more than I need. So I'm pretty confident if I push this up to, like, I don't know, say 90% fuel rod levels. Yeah, there we go. So I'm dropping down to 27 RF per tick, which is probably pretty comparable. What did this guy make? Maximum of 80. And yeah, I was overproducing pretty heavily, I got to imagine. Yeah, there's a lot of power kind of banked up in the leadstone energy conduits there. And see, it's kind of bursty with its power usage. My tree farm looks like it needs some help. I bet it's because that is full of oak saplings. Yes, it is. Which means these guys don't have. Yeah, it's not perfect. Alright, so this is producing, and all I need to do is tie it in. Now, running the control rod myself, you know, I mean, that works. It's not ideal, though. It's really, really not ideal. Instead, that's what this RedNet port is for. And so with the RedNet port, I can tie it into a RedNet controller. And I haven't talked about these yet because they're kind of complicated. I don't use them that often, I'll be honest. Not because I don't like them. I really do. They're awesome, but they are very, very complicated. So I plug the cable in, and as you see, it goes straight into here, and there's actually 16 different colors. And if we right-click on here, there are 6 pages of programmable, essentially digital circuits. If you're a computer engineer or hoping to get into computer engineering or electrical engineering, this is exactly what the stuff you would be expected to learn or know. So these are all digital circuits. They have various things they do, but I can use them to control this system, and I can do that by, ouch, oh, I got too close, sorry, I got too close to the sludge factory over there. I can use them to essentially control, monitor the energy buffer, and run the control rods. Now, I haven't done this in a while. I've done it once before, but it takes a little bit of trial and error. So I'm going to play around with this for a little bit and get this programmed up. Basically, what I want to do is I will assign a, let's see, what is it? The battery. So the output energy amount, I think, needs to be assigned to one of the colors. I don't know, let's make it, sure, let's make it yellow, why not? I will then assign the, I want to do the, toggle the control to white, and activates on level, pulse, level, okay. So let me work with that. I think if I just use those 2 mechanisms, I can program this up pretty well. Of course, commit our changes, and let me play around with these gates some more and come back in just a minute. Okay, I was trying to do some fancy programming here with, you know, monitoring the percentage full, and then when it gets to a certain level, basically shut off the reactor. I mean, that would work, but that's way more complicated than it needs to be. I kind of have a built-in mechanism. So basically, I've got this energy buffer and this control rod. And essentially what I want to do is, as the energy buffer approaches 100%, I want the control rod to approach 100%. So I've added the control rod to magenta. I have the energy buffer on yellow, and I'm just going to set up a pass-through. And then what we do here, the way we program this, is you have to pay attention to the sides. I'm being aware of my position to that guy. So I'm going to come in here and tell it that I want to pick the I/O port on the right side. If we just keep clicking, we'll get right. And I'm going to pass through the yellow. Looks kind of gold there. I'm going to pass it through and send it over to the right side on magenta. And that's it. That should be all I need to do. If I do that, I now see that this is off. Let's turn it back on. The control rods should go to 100%. Right? So that should be 7. Because we're at 7%. When this goes to 8%, my control rod should be at 8%. Pretty slick, huh? So basically, this reactor will run up to 100%. And what's nice is that as the energy buffer approaches 100%, the reaction will actually slow down. So we should be able to reach 100% without wasting any fuel, because by the time we get to 100%, the control rod should be at 99%, and our temperature should be so low that if we do waste any energy, it's going to be pretty minuscule. So that is how you do a very, very simple control mechanism using programmable RedNet controller and the RedNet port. I do want to take that off. I'm just going to ignore that just to make sure I don't accidentally, turn this off. Meanwhile, we still don't have any cyanite. I now need to go get some energy conduit and wire this up, and it will be as good as complete. For now, anyway. The main purpose is really to make cyanite right now, because if we look here, I don't have a lot of yellorium, so I'm not going to use this as a primary power source right now, because it's just not in the cards for me at the moment. There's some things that I want to look into. I don't know if I can do. There's a certain thing I want to try and do, but I don't know if I can in this mod pack. I don't know if it's been kind of allowed to happen, and I'm being purposefully kind of void of information, because if I can do it, I want to save that for an episode. That's unfortunate. Bummer, dude. Total bummage. Alright. Well, I need another energy conduit, which I'll just plug into there, and key into the reactor. Any fuel yet? Nope. Alright. Well, I think this is a spot to wrap up the episode. I got a few things done today. Hopefully, did I get... I did not get any quests finished. Oh, I did. I killed zombies. Hey, I will take it. Always guaranteed at least one quest complete for killing zombies. Alright, this is Woolrig saying thanks for watching. I will see you in the next episode. Until then, be well, do good, have fun. See you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.